Hello and welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus and I'm here with Sebastian Keynes on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. Please remember to like and subscribe and to get involved down in the comment section because that's where we get ideas to discuss on future episodes. How's it going this week, Sebastian?
Oh, it's been going okay. It's been quite weak. I finally got to really sit down to look at the season 6 GBG maps, so I'm working on that. Um, just learning along just to see what everybody else was doing, what the positions were looking like, trying to get to know how the Gardener Guards AI was working, all that fun stuff that we have when it comes to GBG, especially after going through the gauntlet. So,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
aside from everything has been pretty relaxing with the game, except for the major news with the global patch that reads like a novel. But we know what's coming.
I called it. I said last week it would be coming out on Tuesday, and there on Tuesday the patch notes came out. So it was, yeah, exactly as anticipated. As soon as this Shadow in the Castle event ends, Global is getting its next big update. Now, if you've been watching this series for a long time, you will have seen almost all of the content that is going to be released in the patch on Tuesday. One thing that isn't on Forerunners yet, and I'm assuming that we will get it on the patch on Thursday next week, is the changes to the pity. Now, this is really interesting. Um, I'm so if you're not aware, they're now changing hard pity to go from, I think it's like starts kicks in at 185 and then you hit full pity at 200. So and similarly they're changing the guaranteed pity on limited heroes to 200 as well. So there's big changes in there. And they're changing it on the divines as well. So they're now going to make it so the hard pity on divines is 20, which is so good because that can be really painful. And there are changes to the legendary one as well, but I can't remember exactly what those are off the top of my head. But yeah, it's a big change to the game and how that's going to play out.
So it's unprecedented for a gotcha game to undergo such a change, especially early in its age, in a manner of speaking, right? Because other gotcha games that are 2 years young, 3 years young, they haven't adjusted to that. No, they just keep adding heroes and they keep adding banners. They might do progressive banners instead of just a standard 15x, but this type of move is unprecedented. So it's interesting to kind of speculate as to whether there is something coming down the pipeline that we do not see yet, or as somebody else put it in a video that I did with Mike, shameless plug. They actually think, being in the pessimistic side, that they could start decreasing the amounts of rare crystals that we see in game. So there's so many perspectives to draw from or to look from if you really want to kind of put your tinfoil hat and speculate as to why Muntan is doing this.
Well, that's an interesting point, actually, because in our guild chat earlier this week, they were talking about the changes which have been made to the store here, and they was commenting on how many more rare summoning crystals they're seeing in the store, and they're now able to take advantage of. And it may be that part of this is, as they say, to do with reducing the number of they've realized that they're coming up too frequently and they're going to pull that rate down. Um, but I don't know. I think it's a nice move. It's certainly been one of the loudest gripes within the community for a long time that the pity rates are terrible, but also in that we don't have the full breakdown of the rates within for each of
Right.
these heroes, which within some communities they are actually supposed to provide. I don't know if these large buckets which they provide actually comply with the law as it stands. And so maybe they're trying to distract people from that by uh, making making it easier to obtain heroes, so people are less concerned about it. But obviously, there's still going to be the issue that your Hatsuts and your Zilitus are in the sort of super rare bucket, and you can't get them as often as you would want to. Whereas your Azors, Apsons, and Cratches are dropping like candy. So
that the rate thing, just to appease us because they don't want to reduce that. That was one of my theories. The other one that I forgot to mention with Mike was that it's possible that they don't foresee themselves doing something like Red Shadow Legends did, that instead of playing around with their pity, what they did is they decided to add progressive banners. And I think I've seen it with Awakened Chaos Era as well, where essentially is you start the banner at 15x. If you summon a legendary, but it's not the one in the banner, you go up to 20x, and so on, until hopefully you do hit the legendary in the banner. So that's another, I guess, hypothesis that you could have, is that they're not planning on doing that. So they just said, let's just reduce the pity and then maybe give them an opportunity to get the 15x hero a little bit more. So many different things going on. Also, any changes that might happen with Apple or Google here in the States, Apple in Europe, any type of negotiations that is going on, maybe that's going to affect the bottom line. So they're trying to figure out a way to recoup. So maybe the packs come into play a little bit more. I don't know. They're trying something here, essentially, for us to either A, summon more, or B, it's just there's something down the pipeline that we're going to see it. And we're going to say, okay, this is why, because either the resource is limited or something changed where we're not getting as much goodies as we used to before.
I mean, I'm normally someone who saves up lots and lots of diamonds and does big summon sessions. And I have to say, since the anniversary, I've had less desire to hold on to my gems. I think we've had a lot of good heroes come out recently, and that's been quite an incentive to spend more than anything. So obviously, Zaris has come out, Beelzebub's come around. He's obviously coming to global soon. And there's lots of stuff like that, which is just made me go, you know what? I mean, I could hold, but I'm just going to go for it. And if there's more stuff like that, then yeah, it is more of an incentive to dig in. And we're coming into two big spend periods for within the game. We're coming up to the Thanksgiving event, which is mentioned in the patch notes, and again to the Frostfall Festival or Christmas, which is what the rest of the world calls it. So they're going to be like the next big targets for them to hit spending, and obviously end of the year. I don't know exactly when Moonton's financial year is, but those ones are going to get people summoning more. They're going to spend more, and yeah, we'll see what comes out of that.
Yeah, so wait and see type of approach, and then I'm willing to bet if anything negative comes out of this, you and I are going to talk about it. Every CC is going to talk about it. But essentially, it's just wait and see as to why this move is being made. Let's just wait. Let's not completely freak out about it yet. But I'm all for it. Sure. Yeah. Lower the pity. I get hit a legendary quicker than they anticipated.
Yeah, that's good. Right. So that's kind of it in terms of like the major news. If you want to catch up on the news, there's a podcast. Well, I say podcast. There's an hour-long video that Sebastian did with more than Mike on his channel. I will stick a link to that in a card and down in the description. It's worth a chat. Just try to get over the sort of the overexcited summon noises in the background when they're talking, because I mean it's
yeah. that was an OBS mistake. I forgot to one check mark that I forgot. But no, I was just going to say, listen, to all of those that enjoy that, thank you. One podcast is enough for me, and I love getting together with Arturos every week. And I really think that the conversations that Mike and I have are unique. And we kind of open the door for you to kind of see how he and I talk about the game for 1 hour. And we did go on, and after I pressed stop the record button, we did still go on and talk for 2 more. So he and I definitely can, but like you saw, we can definitely get out of the path and go into tangents, and somebody sometimes brings other games in, or we start comparing it to other games as well. So, but I do appreciate everybody's sentiment, and I'm glad that you enjoy them. But I like to leave those as like one-time hits every so often. Mike and I definitely do like to do them time to time. Oh, the other thing that was on global patch notes, and I don't know if you saw this, but they snuck it in. Did you see the mini? I'm gonna call it a mini buff, just a mini one. That Kigiri got, Kigiri A3.
Yeah, so Kigiri A3, you'll have to pull up on your screen the actual wording of the changes because I don't have that in front of me. But so here we have at the moment, let me just check within OBS that you can see that I'm kind of in the way. So let me just move me out of the way. Okay, or just hide me, one of the two. No, there we go. Move me over a second. So A3 currently is within 10 seconds. Sweeping strike is activated. Direct damage does damage one extra time, equal to 35% of the direct damage. Okay. Within 10 seconds of the Ember Strike, did the same thing, does it twice, 25% damage. Now, the buff that is coming is no significant change to that. What's really important is the final sentence that they've added. And it seems like really throwaway comment. But it basically implies that if you get it right the first time, you will have permanent Ember Strikes.
Correct.
Which is, yeah. So if you basically trigger his passive, his swallow, what is it? Swallow counter within that period.
Yes. Let's see here. Yeah, swallow counter. That is right.
Yeah. If you trigger swallow counter, then you get a permanent effect of Ember Strike or Sweeping Strike. So whichever one you do, it's permanent. Or is it that everything is a swallow counter?
No, okay. So the way that I read it was that if these two trigger, that this passive, so every time that he launches forward, and then he comes back attacking every time. It's just not one off, but now it's every time that he launches with an Ember Strike, he's always going to do that reverse hit.
Cool. Right. Well, that's good.
So that's the way I interpret it. And so we already knew. So everything that I've done with GB or with Semra and this fellow here, once you hit A3, he just takes off. A3, A4, A5. He's a menace in there. So just this additional one hit coming back, it's definitely going to boost his damage again. So I don't mind it. He's a limited hero. So he should at least be worth it once you get into the A3s, A4s, A5s.
Talking of heroes who are getting buffed in this next patch on Global, we've got, I think I'll just spend like a few minutes talking about Valkyra. And I know we spoke about it last week and the impact of it, but I just want to do some further feedback because I've been using her in Single Target Arena this week. And
Go for it.
she is mine is A2, so it's not the greatest Valkyra that's out on the planet. She's perfectly feasible, but in Single Target Arena now, she is doing so well. She's just absolutely able to deal so much damage because within the Arbiters, she's applying that magic of vulnerability, and that even means that the Final Truth and the Lord skill is getting that vulnerability, so the enemies just drop even faster when that's going. It's really, really impressive to have her on the team. Now, previously it was like, well, Jira can like really slap once you get her going, but she just takes a bit of steamrolling to get going. And it's like, why wait for the steamroller? Just get this girl in. I've got her exclusive art. I've got her exclusive weapons, so I'm getting that extra 1%. If I get her in early, I'm getting that 28% anyway. Her stacks of 8% going up all the time, and then I'm getting 15% vulnerability coming in, and she's getting bonus damage whenever someone dies. So it's like she's just so good now. So yeah, definitely want to look out for if you are running a Arbiter comp. Really worthwhile having in your team. And yeah, she's great fun to play with now.
So I have the same sentiment as you, because one of the things that I did here in Forerunners is that I am running an Arbiter comp for single target, and my A1 Valk replaced the A0 Talon I was using.
Mhm.
So same set, semi-IR set. I even played around a little bit with the gear that I do have, and she was actually doing a lot better, and actually made Pretius and Jira a little bit better as well. So I said I'll take it. I don't mind the change at all. So, but yeah, that A5 dude is going to is if you could get her, if you get your Siren to die at least once and she just gets that extra burst at the end, that would be even better. Just to
Yeah.
cheese that a little part. Yeah. So, but yep. I
Yeah.
made the change. I went back to Valk.
Yeah, she definitely good. I've also been having a lot of fun playing around with the other hero who's getting a buff in next week's next week's patch, which is this guy. And in single target arena, I've got mine A3, and yeah, single target arena now, he can probably outpace a Nyx with his ultimate. Certainly in wave 3, and possibly even in wave 4. Because of the way his ultimate goes, he can, rather than having to wait for the bomb to come out from Nyx and it go pulse, 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 and things to die.
Mm-hmm.
He just launches the thing and everything just dies or is severely weakened and something else finishes it off. But it's so impressive to watch it. And by the time you've got into A3, his cost is 19, so he's actually faster to deploy than Nyx as well. So you don't necessarily need to think about bringing a cost generator. You can just go single target unit straight into him as the second unit deployed. It's working to a degree. I think it would be better if he was fully skilled, but he's great fun to play with. And I think considering Arena can be a bit of a mare, having a unit that's fun to play with is the only way to do this.
Yeah, even after playing around with A3 Kai in the test server and seeing how much fun he is and blowing stuff up in chapter 10, what I was doing, and I am a little bit disheartened because I went back to my global account, which is the dirty pay to win account. I'm not gonna, I'm not ashamed to say that. I was disheartened when I saw my Kai is only A1 and now on a Kai banner. I really do. I really do now. I want him A3 for God's sakes. That's how much fun I was having with him in the test server.
Yeah,
So I know people are disappointed about the traps, but no, everything else makes up for it.
Yeah, no, and in fact, even in Air Arena, just having those traps just like right next to him on the platform just mean that if anything does start to like creep past him, he just grabs them there with a trap, and then someone else can finish off this weakened unit, which is stunned and immobilized, and yeah, it's efficient. I haven't perfected the team, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's going to take like precise timings and in the gear to make him work the composition work well, right? But
Yeah,
you know how I feel about single or not single air anti-air arena in
yeah,
Forerunners, and I swear that right now in Forerunners, and I don't know if this is applying in global, but right now in Forerunners for some reason autos are busted. It doesn't matter how you set them. There's always a delay, or the heroes are not triggering their ult. So I don't know what they're doing in the background here in Forerunners, to be honest with you, when it comes to arena right now.
yeah.
So
A lot of people have been saying that since last week, anything after round 7 is a complete chaos, and people aren't triggering ultimates. So hopefully
yeah,
that doesn't get rolled out onto global next week, because that will be really painful.
no, people are going to notice if their defenses are all of a sudden just buckling because something is not getting activated either early round or late round. So, but we'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, a recent dev note pretty much said in response to the arena timings on auto sucks. Please fix it. Well, the dev response was deal with it.
Yeah,
which was
I saw that.
amazing.
Is working as intended. I hate that. No, no, fix it. We're not dealing with it. Fix it. Jesus. God, that was one dev scene. That was one comment pissed me off. But we know that the people that they released those are different from the actual people that are working on the
Yeah,
stuff. So because
it's go ahead.
they said no, Dolores is supposed to be RNG. That's how we intended to work her. Oh, here, exclusive gear.
I stand by the statement that was provided by the devs is still true and is still accurate. There is element of RNG in her kit. There is still
Yeah.
no plans to change her kit. What they have done is they've produced a piece of exclusive gear, which is really, really hard to get a set for. I have probably forged the best part of easily 10,000, 10, 15, 10, 12,000 materials since that. I'm overstating. Probably about like several thousand materials since that piece rolled out. I have 2 pieces of attack gear in Wings of Grace, one of which is her exclusive. And I just can't get that third piece. So until that lands,
It's hard.
It's. I mean, I can go broken set for her thing, but then I lose an invigoration buff, and it's like, well, is losing 10% attack worth the extra bit of invigoration? And it's like, no.
No,
So
no, it's not. Trust me, I tried it already because I showed you. I did get that one piece here in Forerunners, but just using it as a standalone, no, it's not worth it. You lose a lot of damage.
yeah. On the other hand, Vienna's as a standalone piece is just horrendous to any enemies in the area, and they just melt. So that's just hysterically funny.
With Bjorn's piece, you can the way that I've used it is just as a standalone. If I'm doing like my runs in gear, dungeon stuff like that, and I don't have to worry about getting an essay set on her.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't tried it like for the first time trying to clear stage 10 with it just by itself, without having like a cataclysm set or an essay set together. But it's something that you can try.
Yeah, I used it in AMR 22. I did have Power of Dominance on, but I used it in Power of Dominance on, and it wasn't the piece and the gear was not fully skilled, and it was she was just melting things with her ultimate. It was hysterically funny. Right. What else were we going to talk about? Yes.
I don't know if you want to get into Fasty's leak regarding this new Epic Arbiter, or you want to leave that from when they finally release her?
I think it's. I mean, it's worth talking about because certainly a lot of people are saying are fed up with the fact that they might have 1 or 2 arbiters, and the arbiters kind of really needs that one cohesive unit to try and bring them together. And within the chaotic faction, obviously, you've got Vladov, who's the chaotic nightmare epic leader, the werewolf, and he's kind of okay, but he's an epic hero, and he's a nightmare fighter in a sea of nightmare fighters. So he's suffering on 2 counts. So yeah, but if you need him for a Lord skills, then yeah, he's absolutely fine. And what people are finding is that because they don't have that Lord skill, they're feeling that their arbiters are being a little bit held back. And so we're now starting to get a bit of information about Elysia. Is that right? Elysia was the name of the hero?
Yep.
So
not Lisa, but Elysia.
So Fasty did a video on her, and Destin did a video which came out today. Today, time of recording, Saturday, which goes over her kit. I'll put a link to Destin's or Fasty's, whichever one comes up while I'm editing. And that basically talks about how goes more into her kit, but I'm just going to like show you the pieces above while we talk about it. But basically, she's just she's a fighter for first of all, which is always good because ground units are always useful because often platform units can be quite difficult to place to get best use out of them, especially in arena where you've got to have Alistair in one slot so that he can work next to another hero, and that can make him a little tricky to deploy. But if you can deploy him, he's really good. So yeah, so first up, fighter, epic, 110% magic attack, which is worth noting. Looks like she's got a talent which boosts her rage and can permanently increase her damage by 10% up to 3 times. So you can permanently increase her damage by up to 30%. And every time she's attacked, she's doing 2% rage. It's restoring 2% rage. I don't have the full stats because obviously that's all in Fasti and Destin's videos, and you'll be able to look at that over there. Then she's got an ultimate, which is it's in the sort of Zillitu. Let me just make this a little bit bigger because it's a little bit teeny on the screen. Right. So then it's in the sort of Zillitu arrogance range. So that big 3x4 channel. It's relatively high cost, 900. So it's sort of like chaotic mage type range of cost. So she's doing these lightning orbs. So I'm assuming that's an effect. Hopefully, it will inflict radiant erosion. I don't have the passage in front of me. Yeah, so does up to what's it? Extra 60%, duration of 16 seconds. So reasonably good, but yeah, we'll have to see how that works in.
I was trying to look from Fastest video if I saw any type of debuff like the radiant erosion. I did not see it, but the lightning orb, I thought that just does damage, right? Through damage. I don't know if I have to once the gag order is lifted for me, I'll go look at it deeper, but I did not see radiant erosion being applied. I just think that she's just there to kind of get that all that the whatever the faction bonus that gives them, right? Just to unlock them out, and then once Bradius comes in, then he just completely, opens up the door for things. What I was gonna say about like the heroes, the epics like this one and the one Blada that we have for the chaotic is just at least if you're able to acquire them and you're like mid-late game, at least it allows you to at least have a chance on the plat levels of arena, I guess, right? You're not gonna push Apex Overlord with them. That's not their intention. I think that it's just supposed to be, here are heroes that you could possibly get a little bit easier, and you can then unlock, if you have been fortunate to summon some of these heroes, then it just at least you get to familiarize yourself with what the faction can do if you do have a lord with them. And like we said, with the new PD timer, it just might give you an incentive to when the next prettiest banish comes in. Boom, I want to go after it because I got a taste of it with this hero. Now I want the big guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be the really interesting thing. I think that anything which makes these units more available to people, it'll be interesting to see how she falls, because arbiters do really fall into two categories. They fall into the appliers of radiant erosion and the removers of radiant erosion. And then you get the ones who are legacy heroes who have been thrown into the pool and don't really do anything. But Valkyra is doing Valkyra stuff at the moment, so we'll give her a bye. So yeah, you've got your Jira, who removes radiant erosion. You've got Thalon, who removes radiant erosion, and you've got Lady Alexandra, who removes radiant erosion. So you've got, and then you've got the applies. You've got Ingrid, you've got Alistair, you've got Bratus. You do to an extent from Pelagios, but it's not consistent. it's all tied up in his ultimate and how that's triggering. But yeah, they're interesting heroes, and if you've got some of those heroes and you don't have that steam train of getting the radiant erosion out, then you're never going to get that full power out of that faction. It's really quite crippling to how you can use them. So if she's not bringing radiant erosion and you don't have a way of effectively applying it, she's not going to transform your arbiters.
Not as efficient as the Prettius does. So you can, if you want, you can go over the other passes, and I'm going to try to see if I can get a hint. The fact if whether she actually does apply radiant erosion, because you are right, that is one big part of their kits, the whole Arbiter faction.
Okay, so her passive increases damage by attack. Sorry, not damage, attack by 18% during the ultimate, and that becomes permanent after 3 times. So that really ties in with the talent, with boosting the damage by 10%, stacking up to 3 times. This is stacking, what's that, 12%, so it's another 30%, so up to 60% attack increase effectively when the ultimate, if you combine the passive and the talent. I wonder if that's a mistake and that talent's going to be reworked, because I can't believe they're actually going to boost an epic unit's attack by 60%. I wonder if that's subject to change.
There's always that multiplier, though. Sometimes some of these heroes, the numbers look attractive, right? But then their multiplier is not as high. So
but she's a magic damage dealer, so she's got a lower hill to push against. So 60% is actually quite a lot.
Yeah, I guess I could see your point as well. Yeah, especially being magic. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if she can do some nutty stuff.
And then the Lord skill, which is kind of what we were just talking about. You increasing divinity, which is the same as Proteus. I'm assuming that these multipliers will be slightly lower than the Proteus ones, but they may be the same. If they're the same, that's amazing, because those 4 hits, if you're getting if you've got 4+ units out, 8+ hits if you've got 4 units out, is just incredible. So we'll have to see how that pans out. And then finally, there is a damage increase in arena, which by 15%. So that's her skills. I did manage to grab her awakenings from the Destin's leaker layer. If you're not on his Discord, it's worth grabbing, jumping on there, and you can always find out this stuff for yourself. So
I'm not seeing the radiant though. That's the one thing. So
A1 lightning orb. Yep. Lightning orb hits a hero, doubles the damage of the lightning orb's next bounce, and inflicts 2 stacks of radiant erosion, and casts 1 at the enemies. After that, 2 basic attack will deal additional 60% true damage on the hero's attack. So she is applying radiant erosion.
Okay, so now that I see here, the lightning orb itself applies it. So anytime you see the lightning orb on the kit, it's an application of a radiant erosion stack. So with Awaken 1, it looks like she can then add even more. Inflicts 2 stacks.
Oh, that's so good, because you get her with Jira in a line, because she's...
Yes, you got it. Now you think, yep.
Oh, that's nice, actually. And it doesn't really matter, because if you've got an awakened Jira who's pulling stacks of radiant erosion for extra 4% max HP and stuns on a unit, then yeah, that's really effective.
So the lightning orb, so anytime you read lightning orb, it deals 200% damage, inflicting 1 stack of radiant erosion. So this A1, it says, then is going to bounce and add 2 more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the only issue is that will limit her effectiveness in single target arena, because you can only max stack radiant erosion at 3. That the ball isn't going to bounce, so it will go out and then it will die because it can't bounce anywhere. I guess it would be. I guess you could kind of do some tests with
Yeah,
Soliel in
you could
single target arena to see what her ball does.
well, you could consider like a bouncing on the same target. I don't know if it does that. I mean, I think with Soleil, I've only seen that one hit if it's just a single target, and
Yeah,
then
I
once
think
something else comes into the
I think that's unfortunately going to be what will happen, which will limit her usefulness.
okay.
Which is a shame. Maybe it would make for a Arbiter AOE team because she's got that longer range, and if she can get those bounces out into the the back line, then maybe you could cause some chaos in there. But then you still need something to strip off all of that radiant erosion that she's applied and do some big damage. And I don't think that's unless you've got Thalon with his kit to and Gungir doing his thing, then you're not really going to get the benefit of that.
It will. It will. I guess it's all on test. We can speculate. I mean, that's essentially what we're going through right now, especially when we're thinking about this bounce mechanic working. Because definitely Prairies is not doing that. He's just, But at
He
least with her,
yeah.
we at least in the early rounds, a single target, you can at least use the lightning to your advantage while you're setting everything else up. And then as you start bringing everybody else in, maybe you then catch up and then take advantage of the bounce. Maybe that's how it's supposed to go. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And obviously, it is very difficult for people who are on test server to do significant testing within the arena, which is why you don't see people with test server access. I mean, Jay and Joe did a little bit, but there weren't many people who were doing who were doing arena on test server, so you don't really get it.
Yeah, because one is you need well, you're using the defense setup, so you're using the dummies, right, to set everything up, and then two, you have to climb up. You have to get into the overlord rank in there to try to get the demon souls to be at the level that you want them in. So yeah, it is a little bit difficult to do it there, but it can if you spend the time, you can at least do it with the dummies. But yeah, we can at least do it in PvE just to get an idea how it's working and then postulate for arena. But the other thing though, as any mage would or fighter or this is a fighter. Or sorry, this is a fighter.
Fine.
It's a magic fighter, but her cost is
Did I have her
23.
cost? Oh, you see, you sent me that image with 23 on it, and I thought that was someone else's who's not out yet. But 23 cost for a fighter is insane.
Yeah. So at least from this clip here, yeah, it's the block is 2, the cost is 23, the redeployment is 60, and then yes, there was that other screenshot that I sent you of the Infernal Fighter that is coming, also a 23 cost fighter. Yes. So something about 23 being very special when it comes to these new fighters added to the game.
Well, I mean, I think that's one that's indicative of the where the game is at, and they've also decided that these heroes coming in are significantly more powerful, and therefore their cost needs to represent that. The trouble is that the cost generators we've got in game are Na'Vi, who does 12 to 15 on a fairly regular basis, depending on how her passives are proccing. You've got Cyrene, who's 12 every 600 rage, and then you've got I've got to forget her name. the other Watcher one, who's 15 every 30 seconds. So, but you're almost looking at the cost where the thought of a legendary cost generator is actually quite appealing because you need someone who could just drop 20 cost in really quickly to to deal with these facts. But I mean, on the other hand, you've got the counters to that. You've got Xena, who's a single target fighter, who's amazing burst damage, especially when there is one target in range. And then another hero coming to global soon, one to look out for, and one of Sebastian's favorites. And you've got Zaris, who's fantastic in AoE Arena, who just puts out his spirits, and he just causes chaos in the first 2-3 rounds.
Yeah, I like your idea, because let's say if it ends up being a fighter that can hold its own and actually do damage, that will be the next power creep. It's a fighter that not only is doing damage for you initially, but boom, cost generator at the same time. So it's like a ump up Dallin or something like that is what we're thinking.
Dallin,
what
that
you're
was the
thinking
name.
about here.
Yeah, I see. She gets stuck in my head with her old name. That's the problem. And I can never remember the new name.
I know. Hey, I still call the Bastion ring Oleg's wall, so I've slipped a time or two.
You play the game 800 days, and the old names stick in your head, but it can be really difficult. Right.
I do wonder if anybody that watches this, if they actually know what Hydro's old name used to be. I mean, some of them might not even know that Hydro had a different name before before
the game became popular, and then they realized that the House of Tolkien are quite litigious when it comes to reuse of their names. Well, in fact, I don't even think it was the House of Tolkien. I think it was more to do with Peter Jackson being litigious. So,
yeah. So, all right. So aside from that, was there anything else that we needed to cover briefly?
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty quiet week. Obviously, the devs are gearing up for the release of the global patch. That's come out.
Be a big week for global. I mean, it's going to be like a sense of rejuvenation, I think, in the game with everything that is coming out. You and I have had a chance to experience it, but experience it in spurts, right? Like, oh, new content. They're getting it all at once. Everything is being dumped, and it's like, here's a pool of balls, have fun, type of deal. See what you can get out of it.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, I think people on the global servers have suffered as a result of these the interactions between Apple and Google, and the Moot and ByteDance issues there. So it's really important that people do feel that they're getting the attention they need. Although I'd much prefer if they, rolled out the pity stuff on forerunners who have been suffering with those rates for longer. Sebastian does keep bringing it up, but you're not doing anything with it.
It's coming. We'll get it. I think in the next whatever patch it might be. We're gonna get that.
Definitely.
Like I told Mike, one of the content, or one piece of content that I'm glad it's not in these patch notes, is the Honors Gauntlet, because that still needs a lot of work. So I hope that they hold that off as long as they can before they release it into the game. But aside from that, everything else is exciting. It'll be brand new. I have like 15,000 fabrics and scale skins or 15,000, 1,500. No, it's 1,000 now. Yeah, I'm getting close to getting tapped out. So I'm glad that this update is coming in, because I need some exclusive gear in the global server as well. So yeah. So I'm going to be busy once everything rolls out in my global account.
Yeah, I think people in global are going to be... did you get the 1,700 gear storage upgrade? Because you're going to need it when you start forging all these materials.
Yeah. No. We're going to need it, definitely, because a lot of fortune is going to happen, and we need the WoRs exclusive, and we need to get a set. It's really hard to get attack bonus will of grace stud pieces. My goodness, I don't know what they did to the rates there. So there's currently another game that I'm trying on the side. No, I'm not leaving Watcher Realms. I just want to see what they're doing over here.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about it is they actually, on everything you do in game, summoning, forging, crafting, anything, there's actually a button that says rates. And if it's not in game, it'll take you to the website and actually list everything. It gives you, this is the percent chance that you have to craft a legendary piece with these substats, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, wow, that type of detail is what we want here. We've been asking for it, and they just don't want to give it. I don't know why they need to say, no, we're going to keep this close to the chest.
Yeah.
Just put it in the game. It's just, you're just being, number one, is transparent, and at least people have an idea of, okay, so it's going to take me possibly ages to get a hat suit or get Hex's exclusive artifact. But at least we know that there's the gambling chance, which is what they keep emphasizing. Dolores, oh, it's supposed to be a gambling feature. Oh, why not everything else? Just let us know all about it.
Right.
Oh, and before we leave for today, I got to check. Are we at 250 yet?
Oh, no. But big thanks to everyone who joined in the last week. We jumped from 185 to 218. I think part of that is because I managed to get the short out and Fasty picked it up and he spread it around his channel. So, yeah, big thanks to everyone who's joined.
All right. So, again, if you're watching this, hit like, subscribe, and tell a friend, tell your guild. And when we get Arcturus to 250, like I said, we'll have W Gold to give away to celebrate that.
Thanks very much, everyone. We'll catch you all in the next episode.
See ya.